your city. We're gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along. Well, we flew through some...
And good day to you. Welcome to this Black Friday special. Hope you've got your shopping done and you have a great Thanksgiving. Welcome in. Hope everything that's going well for you. Hope you have a great day. Hope thanks a lot for taking us along wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing, and hopefully that you're not standing in line somewhere at a Best Buy or a Target. Justin, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I am not standing in a line of a Best Buy or a Target, so I am more than happy this morning.
Well, that's the place that I definitely would not want to be out there. It's a little too chilly for me out there.
No doubt.
But I hope you had a great, happy Thanksgiving, and I hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving. How was yours?
Pretty good. I went to my grandma's, had some good food, so I can't complain. How about you?
I got to see Kylie, so that's all that matters. It was a great day. She went to the movies and said bye-bye, which is usually how that goes. But let's get to the headlines so we get the day off started right with Justin.
All right, here are your headlines, brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. As you've got, hope you enjoyed your Thanksgiving. There was plenty of football to watch last night as the Bears beat to the Lions, 23-16. Cowboys beat the Redskins 31-23, and the Saints defeat the Falcons 31-17. Tevin Coleman with a touchdown catch for Atlanta in that nightcap game. Big weekend upcoming for IU. Basketball hosts UC Davis tonight at 7. Football plays Purdue in the bucket game tomorrow at noon. And soccer gets set for third round of the NCAA tournament as they host number 20 Air Force Sunday at noon. Those are your headlines for this Friday, November 23rd. Brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
Hey, there's your headlines for you to get started on this holiday weekend, a short week. Yeah. Big weekend for Indiana, like I said. Basketball tonight as they take on UC Davis. And the big game tomorrow, the bucket game, everything on the line on the football field as the Hoosiers host the Purdue Boilermakers for the bucket game this year. That's at noon at Memorial Stadium in Bloomington, and a lot riding on the line there. Many of us think that this is going to be the last game Jeff Brom coaches for Purdue, but obviously it's an bowl game. Ramifications on the line as well for both teams. Only the second time in history that's happened, but it's the second consecutive year. So whoever wins this game is going bowling. The other one is going home. So a lot riding on that. And then Sunday, soccer. Indiana continues their quest for a ninth national championship on the pitch as they take on Air Force. The Academy rolls in after an upset of Denver. This is a Sweet 16 round game for the Hoosiers. If they win this, they will play at home once again next week in the Elite Eight round. So hopefully they can make it to that. And we'll see how the other teams do that are in opposing regions. Kentucky and Louisville, very interesting possibilities there of beating up in the Final Four. So that would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and that would be cool. You got three teams in the Ohio Valley area that are playing really good soccer right now. And if Kentucky and Louisville can keep that up, you could potentially see one of them in the Final Four and then one of them in the championship. So that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, it would be amazing. It would be like the old time, I've said this before, but like the Final Four in basketball way back in the day. So very, very cool that all those programs are doing so well. Of course, Indiana, long time having a great soccer program with 8 national titles, but Louisville soccer program has come around a while back, and then Kentucky has built theirs up. So to have those three basketball schools up there is pretty cool. So we'll look forward to it.
Should be fun.
Absolutely. And then a lot of games last night in the NFL. I didn't get to see many of them. Did you get to see any of the NFL action?
I watched the Bears-Lions game and then the Falcons-Saints game I was able to catch the majority of. But I had no interest in watching Cowboys-Redskins, if I'm being completely honest.
Well, and you said Tevin Coleman, he had a good night?
He had a touchdown catch late in that ball game. He didn't really have a great night, 8 carries, 6 yards, but he did have 3 catches for 17 yards in that touchdown. So at the end of the day, he got in the end zone. That's all that matters.
In the Egg Bowl, Mississippi State, Kansas City, apparently a big brawl broke out in that game.
4 players kicked out of the game, so, yeah.
I didn't even get to see who won that game.
That's a great question. Let me take a peek into that real quick.
I was totally removed from sports yesterday. I was deep into, what's that, tryptophan. I was in tryptophan coma. That's what I was trying to get to.
I commend you for that. It's hard to check out on Thanksgiving when it comes to sports.
You know, it's easy to do when you're with a 15-year-old daughter. That makes it a lot easier because they had not her interests, so which was fine and dandy with me. but lots of things to look for tonight. The Hoosiers take on UC Davis, and it's a very depleted lineup. I still don't know who's coming back, who's going to be available to play, who's not going to be available right now. They have at least 6 guys that are injured on the sidelines. I don't know if any of those are coming back. Romeo is not one of those 6 that are anticipated having an injury, although he took a headbutt to the face the other night. But it's really going to be interesting to see the limited lineup that Archie has to put out there on the floor. We saw how it impacted the game the other night, allowing UT Arlington to make that comeback. But if you look down the box scores, you see that only 7 players for Indiana played, and that is very unusual because prior to that, I think the least amount that had played had probably been 12.
Yeah, and I think the one consolation that Indiana has tonight is the fact that they are playing a UC Davis. They're not playing a Duke. They're not playing a Kentucky. So, yeah, you don't have your full allotment of guys, but take these guys that you got now, make it work, get the win tonight, get healthy for Duke next week.
I agree, and it is not. This is the time of year where your team's supposed to be gelling, and unfortunately for Archie, he does not have that luxury now, as half of his starting players have been sidelined with injuries, and that's got to make it tougher to get things going, because that's what this time of the season is for, not including the fact that you have a trip to Raleigh-Durham, North Carolina next Tuesday to take on one of the best teams in the country. But how about Duke going down to Gonzaga?
That was a surprise. Didn't see that coming.
A lot of people did. I can't say that I predicted it because I did, but Gonzaga is a veteran team, and that's what you get when you take veterans over freshmen. And it was obvious. I mean, Duke made a heck of a comeback, but Gonzaga owned them for a while. I mean, they had them down by, 15, 16?
Yep. Yeah, it was a pretty good spread. I was actually watching that game, and it got out of control, 15-16, like you said. I actually turned it off, and I had just assumed that Duke lost handily. I get back on the internet later that night and see that they lose by 2. I'm like, what? So, yeah, it must have been a pretty good comeback.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you've got a bevy of great players, so you can only hold it down for a while, but it shows that Duke's beatable, and I think that the day before that, we had a clip from Bruce Pearl, and he said that they're beatable. They couldn't get it done, but he said that here they are beatable, and obviously they are.
Yeah.
Now, it's early in the season, and I wish that they hadn't lost right before playing Indiana. But, yeah, it's going to be if Indiana cannot get some players back, it's going to be a rough trip for them next week, I think, only because of that. I mean, you've got to have your full complement of players when you go to a game like that on the road at Duke. You've got to have everything. You've got to have your guns loaded.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that it's likely going to work out that way because this is a game. Indiana's a team I think can play with Duke and perhaps even beat Duke if they're at full strength. But the way they sit right now, I agree with you. That's going to be rough sledding when you go to Raleigh next week.
Absolutely. And we'll see what Indiana has. We'll see what kind of fight that they have because they are going to be down. We don't know who's going to be available, who's not. I don't even know who's available for tonight's game against UC Davis. We'll find out later in the day. That's information they usually don't let out until before the game, to be honest with you, for obvious reasons. But, yeah, it's going to be a tough sled, but a whole ton of big games this weekend, too. We'll talk about some of those later. Big show today, as usual. Sammy Jacobs on the program from Hoosier Huddle. We'll get her caught up and previewed for the Indiana-Purdue football game, which goes on tomorrow for the Old Open Bucket. There's a lot of other big games this weekend, which will determine the fate of the football championship. You've got Ohio State and Michigan clashing in a huge game this weekend as well to determine who will go on to the Big Ten championship. So Michigan's hopes for a national championship run through Columbus, as usual, and that is a place and a team that Jim Harbaugh has yet to defeat since he took the Rays up in Ann Arbor. So we'll see if he can excise that demon finally. I would expect that he can, because Michigan has proven to be the better team this year, and Ohio State is kind of underachieved, if you ask me. And then you look at Indiana played both of these teams extremely well. They go into Columbus and they give Ohio State a great game. They end up losing by a couple of touchdowns, but it wasn't for a lack of effort and a great game. And then Indiana goes up to Ann Arbor, leads Michigan at halftime at Ann Arbor. I don't know the stat on that, but I bet if you look back, that has not happened this season. And I also know that Indiana put the most yards on Michigan that anybody had done this year. So Indiana is playing well coming into the Purdue game. That has to bode well for them because they're going to need it. Jeff Brom is going to bring everything he's got because, in my opinion, this is his last game he will be coaching for Purdue, and he wants to win this game badly for a number of reasons. Number one, because he just wants to win. He's a competitor. But number two, he knows what it means, this rivalry means to win it, and he knows the bowl's on the line. So he would love nothing more than to leave that program with 2 seasons and 2 bowl games, because there's not a lot that can be said about him at that point.
Yeah. And so technically you'd only bring him to 1 bowl game, right? Because the way you're talking, last game, Purdue wins. You don't think he's coaching the bowl?
Nope. I don't. Yeah. I don't think that. I think that as soon as this game's over, I mean, a lot of people gave Dan Dakich a lot of crap. Yeah. I can't remember if it was earlier this week or if it was last week, but he had he sent out a tweet that said that Brom would be named the new Louisville coach by Monday, this coming Monday, which they may end up waiting Tuesday just because of that statement came out. But I fully expect a statement to be made that he is going to be the new head coach shortly after this game because of recruiting, from the recruiting aspects. And that's just me guessing. That's just my prognostication, which doesn't mean jack. But I'm going to be shocked if that's not the case because he's going to want to get on to recruiting through Louisville. And I know that whatever has happened has been happening through back channels right now as they prepare to make this move. But we'll certainly find out. But I think that's how it's going to go down.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think that's probably likely what's going to happen as well. But we'll see. But
absolutely. We need to take a break, and when we hit this break afterwards, we've got Sammy Jacobs from Hoosier Huddle coming on today. As I said, also Drew Davis from Peaks.com. We'll talk about tonight's ball game, as well as a few of the surprises for you. So I'll sit back and have a great Friday. I hope your Black Friday is well, and go get you some deals. We'll be back after this.
It's Friday, I'm free again. I got my motor running for a wild weekend. It's Friday, I'm out of control. Forget the working blues and let the good time roll.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for a happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
What about
burgers, pizza, beer.
Your volume's great.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain
acetaminophen,
a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines.
Right.
But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks a day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and Drug Administration.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor.
I think it'll sound a lot better when you're
on
the phone with the guest.
Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROOF. That's 812-868-ROOF.
How'd you know it was break time?
Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature strikes.
Here you go. We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and sewer lines. So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch specials. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150.
No answer from Sammy.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports.
Well, he texted me late last
Join
night.
us each Monday
What
through
time
Friday
is the
for reviews
questions?
of the
I'm
players
like,
and playmakers. Weekly guests
I
like
didn't
Don
see it till
Fisher,
too
Terry
late,
Hutchins,
but
and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live
figured
reports
he
of
would
each
just
game.
be available.
Gives you better coverage.
All right,
of
here we go. We're
Indiana
coming back.
Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at IndianaSportsBeat.com.
Eastbound and down, loaded up and trucking. Are we gonna do what they say can't be done? We've got a long way to go and a short time to get there. I'm eastbound
And welcome back in to Indiana Sports Beat here on this Black Friday post-Thanksgiving shopping extravaganza. What's your biggest gift? What did you do? Are you doing any shopping today, Justin?
Oh, heck no. I don't do shopping when I need to do shopping, let alone when there's a bunch of crazy idiots out that I have to deal with.
Man, I think I did that one time, the Black Friday thing. I don't even know why. I did it one time. I'll never do that again, ever.
I don't blame you.
They have Cyber Monday. That's what Cyber Monday is for. But man, I'm sitting here looking right now at a Best Buy print ad. There's a TV, 43-inch, for $129. Do you know how crazy? I remember when these flat screens came out, and I had a 46-inch that cost $1,700, and I promise you, this one for $129 has 10 times the abilities than that other one does. It's not. I'm not kidding. It's they're 4K now and all that stuff. Yeah. It's just amazing how technology changes and grows. But yeah, it's nuts. Just crazy.
Yeah, that's why everybody goes out. Some really good deals.
Yeah. I don't know why they have to make it so difficult on people. I think you'd get more if you'd make it a little easier.
Yeah.
Just let me stay home. Let me sleep in.
Sure.
And how good was sleeping in yesterday?
Oh,
it was
fantastic.
glorious.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it makes it very difficult to get up and do a Friday show.
All right.
Oh boy, I could have just rolled over and just enjoyed some more sleep. But thank goodness we didn't, and we're up. And you got the folks, those of you that are with us, we appreciate you. Hope you guys are ready for a big weekend of sports. Lots going on for Indiana tonight. Basketball on the hardwood at Simon Scott Assembly Hall as they host UC Davis, a game that's probably going to be a little more interesting than a lot of folks had anticipated when this game was announced. Indiana down who knows how many scholarship players. Right now, I know that they have 7 that were injured. That includes Romeo, which he took a headbutt to the nose, but I don't think that's going to prevent him from playing a single minute at all. The other guys, the one, of course, Jerome Hunter, who's had surgery, he definitely will not be available, but we do not know the status of the rest. Zach McRoberts, Devontae Green, Al Durham, who went down with a hard hit the other night when he got his legs taken out from under him. Who am I missing? Race Thompson. He had a concussion. We don't know when he's going to be back. And Justin mentioned the other day that's the longest concussion injury that we've seen for a while. Because usually a lot of times in football they have to go through the concussion protocol that they're able to get back. But he's been out for a couple of weeks. So Indiana.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just going to say the Indiana's just down a bunch of scholarship players.
Yeah. I think it is worth noting, though, like you said on Wednesday about Race Thompson, you don't really know the severity of the injury. Sure, it seems like a concussion should be good to go in less than 2 weeks, but banging around in the Big Ten with them bodies on the college basketball floor, who knows?
Yeah, and again, we don't know Al Durham, who has played extremely well for the Hoosiers of late. He has really, really stepped up and provided some needed guard play. Indiana has definitely been taking a hit there with Devontae Green going down. You got Zach McRoberts going down, who's not really a guard, but he kind of plays the hybrid role. But yeah, they got to get some guards back, man. Romeo played all but 2 minutes the other night. You've got a freshman in Bob Finney also playing a ton of minutes, which is great for them from an experience standpoint, but they do not, the type of offense Archie runs, he needs a lot of bodies. They run a lot of people in and out, and it showed the other night. When you're that depleted, it makes a difference. It doesn't matter who you are.
Yeah. And I think the main guy that needs to come back for Indiana has got to be Al Durham. Now, he's the one gray area. We don't know if he's even going to miss any time or not, but you have to think with the way he fell the other night, he's probably going to miss a little time, but if he's able to play tonight and so on and so forth throughout the season, that's going to be a big thing for Indiana because he has been, like you said, playing really, really well.
Absolutely, but I think they also need to get all those guys back.
Sure.
Devontae Green provides some play at at guard, not only offensively but defensively, that allows when you get a play up against Al Durham and Devontae Green and Rob Finney, who are all playing good defense. And this Indiana defense has been very, very good when it was together and healthy. But when you don't have all the parts, you can't put the puzzle together.
Right. Been there a few times.
Big puzzle man, are you?
I love doing a puzzle, but nothing pisses you off more when you get to the end and have 3 pieces missing. And it's the same type of situation on the basketball floor. I'm sure Archie is sitting there trying to put this puzzle together, and it's frustrating because he doesn't have all the pieces to fit into the right place.
That is a perfect analogy of what I was trying to put together, and you nailed it. The puzzle is right there, but the pieces are not available. And I'm not saying that they're not fitting. He just doesn't have all the pieces to complete this puzzle yet. So that's really a shame for the Hoosiers, as they had a promising start, but this is just kind of derailed them a little bit. I don't think it's going to affect them as overall for the season, but you certainly like to get off to a great start, and they have. Actually, they're a tip in away from being undefeated right now. So I think they're going to be fine when they get these guys back, but having to play through all these injuries, not fun.
Well, and you brought up a good point earlier, the fact that they don't have this time now, the cupcake part of the season, the easy part of the schedule, they don't have the time now to gel. So if they do all come back healthy eventually, you've got to think it's going to be in the middle of Big Ten play. How easy is it going to be to gel and get chemistry down in the middle of Big Ten basketball?
Absolutely. I mean, it's going to be they've got Big Ten play starts up sooner again this year. They played 2 Big Ten games in December.
I think there's one a week from today.
Exactly. So and that's right after the Duke game. I mean, they have to travel on the road to Duke next Tuesday and then turn around and start Big Ten play. So this team is close to really getting their season started, and they're not in any way, shape, or form close to to the form that they want to have. I know that's got to be very difficult for Archie and what he's trying to do and trying to put together. When you're trying to put a system together, it's like I said, it's the puzzle. If you don't have the pieces, you cannot put it together. Now you're having to force it together in a different manner and go a different route, which is probably okay, but it's just that. It's okay. It's not what it could be, and that's very frustrating to know that you can be better, but you're hampered by things that are out of your control.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that's a really good point, sticking with that analogy. You can try to force the pieces in the wrong place, but like you said, it's not going to look as good. It's not going to look like the picture it's supposed to look like, and that's the issue that Archie has to deal with right now. And if he's able to get through this, get this team healthy, get the train back on the tracks, and get the team rolling down the stretch, that's going to be an impressive coaching job.
Absolutely. I mean, we look forward to it. I mean, this is a good team and a good Indiana team that he's got put together, but until you got all the guys out there, it's not going to be nearly as fun. And that is going to affect the Big Ten play, because the Big Ten season is going to be a lot tougher than most people had anticipated. I mean, we knew that there was going to be some good teams up there, but I can run off 7 teams that are going to be tough to play this year. And the Big Ten is a lot stronger, and that's obviously proven by the latest poll that came out that had 6 Big Ten teams in it. It's been quite a while since we have seen that, but a lot of the teams are playing good early. You've got Purdue and Nebraska, and Nebraska is a team that's been coming, but they weren't quite there, and they only lost 1 home game last year, and that was a 1-point loss to Kansas. So, and they've got the bulk of their guys back. Iowa is another team that you're going to have to look out for. They're going to be a tough out. Iowa is going to be a tougher team. Fran McCaffrey is doing a decent job recruiting there, and a couple of his players are his own sons. So, and I noticed that Jack Nunzi, the kid from Newburgh, Indiana, down by Evansville, is redshirting this year.
Really? What, did he get hurt?
Yeah, it's not to my knowledge, but when I saw that, I was a little surprised. I'm like, this dude not only played as a freshman, he started as a freshman.
Right.
A big 6'11" 3-point shooter, and he's redshirting this year, which I think that maybe Fran is trying to stock up for a run next year. He thinks that next year will be a better year for Iowa with the players and the recruiting that he's managing right now. So I think maybe he's trying to save up and put a team together that can actually compete for a Big Ten title.
Yeah, that's interesting. I hadn't heard that yet, and I don't really know why that would be. Good point about trying to stock up, but why would you redshirt Nunji? He's not the type of player that's going to leave. I couldn't imagine.
Well, no, it has nothing to do with leaving. It's just about having his services for 1 year longer. He thinks that if that were the case, that would be McCaffrey thinking, okay, this year is going to be okay, but next year and the year after that, we're going to be really good. And I think that I truly believe that's what he's trying to hold on to Nunzi, because of the guys that have come in after him are all a year or 2 behind him. But by redshirting him, he can put them in the same class as, say, those freshmen, he's a sophomore, so by redshirting him, he's now in the same class as the incoming freshman class they have right now, which has greatly increased the talent on that program. So then next season, they will both be a year older and on the same timeline. He could be building a little team out there in Iowa.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't really have a lot of faith in Iowa.
Is it Iowa or Fran McCaffrey?
Both. Probably a little combination of both.
Fran McCaffrey is great, though, for the Big Ten. He's got the scowl. He's just one of those characters. It cracks me up. He gets so mad. I'm like, dude, you know you're at Iowa, right?
It's like he's like Bruce Weber.
Well, Bruce Weber's a lot more of a whiner.
Yeah, that's
true. He was the king of the whines. He ate a lot of cheese with that wine, man. Bruce Weber, former coach of the Illini over there in Champaign, Illinois.
How about Ohio State? That's a team you didn't even name. They're 5-0, looking real good here early on.
Ohio State's another team. Well, you got Michigan State, Indiana, Ohio State. There's 4 teams right there, and then the other teams that I've mentioned, plus Ohio State. That's 7 teams that are going to be not an easy game. And that was not the case. Last year, the Big Ten was more of a 4-team league, 4 strong teams and then some medium teams. I think the Big Ten is going to be 7 deep strength-wise this year. And so they're going to have a lot better season. The SEC is going to have a better season. These conferences are coming back. The ACC, of course, is there with Duke and North Carolina, the usual suspects of Virginia. Virginia, I kind of forgotten. Wow. First team to lose a 16-1 game in the tournament last season. And I swear, you could have given me all 4 number 1 seeds with odds, and that is the last team I would have picked to lose that 16-1 game last year. Just because of how consistently they seem to play, and especially when it's a team that's so defensive-minded like that, that's usually the last team that's going to do something shocking like they did in losing that 16-1 game in the tournament last year. But they did, and again, it just surprised the heck out of me. But you got them back, and they're as good as always, and they had a win the last night or the night before last. So the college basketball season is going to be a fun one with some new faces on the map this year.
It's worth mentioning Virginia has not allowed more than 60 points all year.
Which is, I talked about that before, because when Indiana started playing such good defense, but they were holding teams to the 40s and the 50s, but they're scoring in the 80s and the 90s, which Virginia holds teams to the 40s and the 50s, and they score in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s. So it's a different, very, very different type of offense, very different type of defense, more methodical.
Yeah, they did score 100 one time this season, but yeah, you're right. The rest are in the low 70s, high 60s.
And, of course, they're led by Kyle Guy from Indiana. So it should be nice to see him in Indiana's backcourt, wouldn't it?
Keep dreaming.
Well, no, I'm just saying it would have been nice for him not to have escaped the state.
He kind of came out at a weird time, though, for Indiana.
Oh, yeah, he's what, is this a junior season for him?
Junior, yep.
So, yeah, his recruitment was going on 4 years ago, prior to the Archie era, prior to the era of Archie.
Well, speaking of basketball, we better hit a break. Drew Davis awaits.
Sounds great. Stay with us. We've got a lot more coming back here on Indiana Sports Beat on this Black Friday. We'll be back. DrewDavisandPeaks.com. We'll be right back.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage your liver. So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
No.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out their work for yourself at brooksroofingin.com. No job is too big or too small, commercial or residential. Brooks Roofing is probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit brooksroofingin.com or call 812-868-ROO.
Mainly because I feel like I'm muted. I can't.
Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when nature
you're loud. You're loud, trust me.
We all want a winning smile for those
Just because it
championship
sounds like I'm
photos,
energetic.
and that's exactly
That's
what we
the
get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been
Does
serving the
it sound
dental needs
okay?
of Hoosier
Does it sound
families
all
for
right?
over 30
I think
years.
so.
Let Doctors Roger and Jay
Right.
Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at
But
809
I know your
South Indiana
standards,
Avenue
so
in
you probably don't
Sellersburg.
think
Call
so.
812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry,
It's about not having a
812-246-3368.
I'm looking right now.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
What time they play their damn games over there?
Honey, want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree,
guess
remember?
140.
No matter how large or small your digging project may be, no matter how urban or rural, you must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your
could do
local
Lance
utility
Skidmore,
companies
maybe?
to come out and mark any lines they have
Yeah.
near your dig site. You must
Getting
call
up.
811 at least
Last
2 to
note
3
is-
business days before
Yeah,
any
have to be
digging
up if you are.
project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables, and water and
Doubt very
sewer
much
lines.
he's up at 6:40 in the morning.
So before you do this or this, make sure you do this. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811. Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
All right, I'm going to mute you while I call Drew.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at IndianaSportsBeat.com.
No answer from Drew.
Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
Nice.
Don't miss a beat.
I'll call him. Bring us back. I'll call him again. Coming back in 5.
Great.
You get a shiver in the dark, it's raining in the park. Meantime,
And welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this Black Friday special. Come on in, it's all free today. Giving away free show all day long. You don't even have to stand in line. Hopefully you're, if you are standing in line, you can listen to us right now, but I hope, if you are, I hope the stores have opened up and you're in there getting some great deals. I hope you've had a great Thanksgiving. Welcome along. The post-tryptophan coma day is apparently affecting all of our guests as well. Sammy is still unaccounted for, and Alvaro Davis as well. So we'll try to get those guys to come along. Hope you're having a great post-Thanksgiving Black Friday today. Hope you're getting some rest, not standing out in line someplace, which I'm certainly not going to be doing. Big weekend for Hoosier sports lined up as the Indiana basketball team takes on UC Davis tonight at Simon Scott Assembly Hall. And then tomorrow at noon, of course, it's bucket week, baby. The bucket game on the line. Indiana hosting Purdue. All the marbles on the line as both teams need this win for bowl eligibility as they both stand at 5 and 6. The winner will go bowling. The loser goes home. Regardless of that outcome, I think Jeff Brom is gone, and this is, in my opinion, this is the last game he'll be coaching at Purdue. I don't think he will coach the bowl game. I think he will move on to Louisville and begin recruiting there, but that's just my thoughts on that, and from what I have been told and whatnot, but we'll certainly find out. But I wonder how that's going to affect this game. I wonder how that will affect how he coaches this game, if it does, in fact, at all. But it's going to be, I think it's going to be a heck of a game because Indiana's been playing very well, Justin, coming into this game. Purdue has been playing well, even though they're coming off of both teams are coming off of losses, but to very good teams. Indiana goes up to Ann Arbor and loses a tough one to the Michigan Wolverines, who are fighting for their spot in the football championship series as they take on Ohio State this weekend. And then Purdue lost in a great overtime game to Wisconsin. A big game there. So it should be a heck of a fun game at Memorial Stadium on Saturday afternoon. Both these teams coming in, playing well, and both have a lot to play for, but all kinds of storylines going into that game. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, and I think you brought up the point about Jeff Brom perhaps leaving, how that's going to affect Purdue. I think more than anything, it'll affect the players. If it affects anything at all, it'll be the players who either, A, they're going to play for him, or B, they've already given up because they know what's on the horizon. So for me, that'll be one thing that'll be interesting to watch, is how the Purdue players are out there interacting with one another, how hard they're playing for the team. Are they out there playing for Jeff Brom? Are they trying to get to that bowl game? Or are they just going to lay down? Which I don't anticipate the latter to happen, but
yeah, that's not going to happen. It's a Purdue Indiana game. That's not going to happen because of the coaching stuff. It's out the window. This is a huge rivalry game. Been going on for a long time. So that has no bearing on the game, in my opinion. Both teams are coming to play. They're playing for their schools. They're playing for pride, and they're also playing to go bowling. And all of them know that. Both sides, both players on both sides of the field know what they're playing for. Not just a bucket, but a bowl game. But I think they're playing for that bucket first. The bowl is just cherry on top. But earlier this week when I was talking with Jay-Sean Harris, the thing that stood out, you remember, because, man, when they won that thing last year, they sprinted over to our sideline and took it. Believe me, that leaves a lasting impression with these guys. And I talked earlier, they have a trophy case in the locker room where that bucket sits on, and it just spins in slow succession. Well, it's been empty for a year, and that's something that they've also noticed, and that's done with purpose. So, yeah, you're going to get effort from both sides of the ball. I have no doubt about that.
See, I'm on the opposite side of you. It's funny you just said that, because I'm sitting here thinking, of the bucket or the bowl, which is more important? To me, and I would imagine it'd be for the team as well, it's got to be the bowl, right? But you're saying bucket.
That's bucket comes first. Yeah. I mean, because if you look at their goals that they set, I guarantee you, beating Purdue comes before going to a bowl game.
Well, naturally, yeah.
You see the reminders that are around all year long. What have you done today to beat Purdue? It doesn't say what have you done today to get to a bowl game. It's what have you done today to beat Purdue. So bowl games have not been around for 100-plus years. This game has. And these guys have been playing for a long time. This is a long-standing rivalry. So the rivalry comes first. Not that any of them don't want to go to a bowl game, of course. I mean, it's probably almost has equal billing, not to display your point at all. I think it probably does have equal billing, but the thing that wells up in you first is the rivalry, beating Purdue, winning this game. That's what wells up first in them, and the bowl game is just the after effects.
Yeah. If you ask these guys, whether it be at the beginning of the season or the end of the season, what's more important, going to a bowl or beating Purdue? Purdue still?
I'd say that they'd all say beating Purdue. But I don't know. That's just me guessing. That's the emotional answer. The business answer, to be truthful to you, is probably going to a bowl game. I mean, could you stomach losing to Purdue but going to a bowl game? It would make it a lot easier to lose that game, of course, I'd say. But, all things being equal, I don't know. That'd be that's a great question. I'm going to ask that in the post games. I am in Bloomington. That's why I'm sounds a little different today. I am in Bloomington, so a huge weekend this weekend. As I said, basketball tonight, football tomorrow, soccer on Sunday. So lots going on up here in Bloomington. So that's where we are. We take it to where the action is, baby.
That's right. One more point to make on that subject, real quick. From the business perspective or the business side of it, you have to think the bowl is the more important object at the end of the day. In my opinion, that's what it's got to be. You can, like you said, you can be okay with losing to Purdue as long as you're going to a bowl game, because I think at the end of the day, that's the ultimate goal for a college football team.
Absolutely, and well, you know what? We'll find out when we talk to Mitchell Page in the next hour. So I'll ask Mitchell that very question. There's no one can better answer than he. He's played for 4 years at Indiana. He played in 4 of those games, and he went to bowl games and not went to bowl games. So we'll ask him that very, very question.
Hopefully,
great question to ask.
Hopefully, tryptophan didn't get him as well.
Let's hope not. But certainly going around right now.
Yeah.
That's one thing I forgot to take home was leftovers. Oh, man. That's the best meal I've had in weeks. All the good stuff you get. No, I'm telling you. Well, you know, it was a very good day. I got to go out with Kylie and some friends of hers that had prepared meals for other people. And so not at a shelter, actually took it out to the people. Went out to some places and actually found some people that were actually, it was, let's just say, in need. It was great. It was great being part of that. But and that's what Thanksgiving's about.
Sure.
But lots of things coming up on the show. Like I said, Mitchell Page coming up in the next hour. We will talk about that very question. What's more important, beating Purdue or going to a bowl game? That's a great question to get answered. We'll certainly find out when we talk to Mitchell about that.
I do think that's a question that everybody's going to have a different answer. I mean, they all have their own agendas where some people are going to say Purdue, some are going to say the bowl game. I think it'd probably be about a 50-50 split there, to be honest.
Well, we'll certainly find out, because that is, like you said, that's a great question. I look at it from a competitive standpoint. If it were me, man, I don't know that I'm going to lose to Purdue for 4 years, even if I went to a bowl game for 4 years. That's a great question. If you could go to a bowl game guaranteed for 4 years, but you had to lose to Purdue for 4 years, what would you do?
That puts a little different spin on it, yeah.
So that's the question I'll ask Mitchell at, because that's tough. I mean, I couldn't lose to my rival for 4 years in a row.
Well, and that changes everything for me. I mean, all of a sudden, if you're telling me that scenario, yeah, I'm good. I don't want to go to a bowl 4 years in a row. I'd rather beat Purdue.
Heck yeah, and we'll certainly find out. Man, I'm looking forward to this game. It's really going to actually be a good game, I think. These teams are equally matched. Purdue's vaunted passing attack, which has been kind of an Achilles heel for Indiana this season. But Indiana's running game has been really on par of late. The offensive line is healthy. It's probably as healthy as they've been since the beginning of the season. And it showed against Michigan. Again, Indiana put up the most yards that anybody has put on them this season. Not only that, the rushing, Stevie Scott put up the second most yards that any running back has put up against Michigan all season. So the offense is moving right now and working. And like I said, a big part of that is because the offensive line has been healthy. And if you don't have a healthy offensive line, you're not going to go very far.
No. Tim T texts in this show. Pretty good text here. There's going to be a lot of Louisville fans watching the Indiana-Purdue game.
That is not that's a right statement. That is, there's going to be a lot of interest in that game, just only because of the mystery that's playing out. How quickly afterwards will that change come, if it comes? As soon as that game is over, that's going to be the question. And I would be surprised if Jeff Brom is not peppered with questions in the post-game press conference. Be nice to have be two people, so you can be in two places. Unfortunately, after the games, they have the post-game press conferences for both coaches at the same time in completely opposite ends of the field, and I mean corner opposite ends. One is on one corner, and one is on the opposite corner in rooms, and you can't be in both places at once. So it would certainly be nice to be in there, but there'll be plenty of people that will be asking those questions, no doubt.
Have you thought about the scenario where Jeff Brom doesn't go to Purdue, or doesn't go to Louisville, rather?
No, I haven't, because I don't see that not happening. I don't see that as being a scenario that is a possibility, where a lot of people have said, well, we'll see. Yeah, we will. Is there a possibility? Anything is possible. Yeah. Of course, anything is possible, but I just don't see it. Especially where Louisville is, they are in need And if any time for Jeff Brom to come into Louisville, it's when they're in need. So there's nothing for him to really lose.
Right.
The program is already kind of a dumpster fire right now as far as play. They have just been atrocious. They've been one of the worst teams in Division I football this season. They've won, 2 games?
Yeah.
And their defense has given up 50 points at least 5 times this season.
And I can't imagine they're going to put up with Kentucky tomorrow.
Oh, that's another thing. Yeah, they're going to have their season ended by a bad loss to Kentucky.
Yeah.
So, that's just putting not the cherry, but whatever you want to call on top of it, it's not good. It's just a huge bite of a crap sandwich. That's what they're going to be taking a bite of.
Louisville has actually allowed 50 points or more 6 times this year.
Wow, that's unbelievable. I mean, their defense got progressively bad as soon as Todd Grantham left. Todd Grantham, a unbelievable defensive coach that Louisville had. And, a word was that he and Petrino didn't get along, but I've heard that about a lot of people with Bobby Petrino. And just has left that program kind of shaken, but it gets back to what I was talking about with Jeff Brom. He can ride in and not only come back to home, but come back and be a hero. If he gets them back up to the standards of which they had kind of gotten accustomed to, this is a team that was ranked in the top 5 not that long ago. This is a team that was playing against Deshaun Watson and Clemson on a big game stage not that long ago. This is a team that put 69 points or whatever on Florida State on College game day. They have reached some highs, but now they have fallen to some deep lows. And if he can come in and be the hero, man, that makes he look even more the better. He did that at Purdue. They were 4-7 when he arrived. He's taken them to a bowl game already and has them on the precipice of potentially going to a second bowl game. So, yeah, he can ride in and just be the hero.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to say, he's already going to be the hero when he does come in. But if he's able to come in and have success and turn the program around, it's going to be tenfold.
And why wouldn't he?
Right.
He did it at Purdue the very, very season he arrived with the same players that were already there. He hadn't recruited. He just took the pieces that they had and formed the winning combination that he came up with.
Yeah.
So, and then this year, they beat some big games. They started 0-3, a horrible start for those guys. But he's got them in a position to qualify for a bowl game now after starting 0-3. Man, that says a lot, too, because they had some big wins along the way. They beat Ohio State on that remarkable night. And speaking of which, Tyler Trent, he's going to be in the house in Bloomington on Saturday. So, it's a big game when you got Tyler Trent there.
Right.
But, they won some big games. They beat Iowa for a second straight year. So, they don't have to worry about the breakthrough and all that. They broke through and kicked the door down and walked over it.
Yeah. And it's kind of frustrating to have to sit back and watch that from Purdue's side of things. Am I right?
Well, absolutely, because it shows you that it can be done rather easily. Well, nothing is easy, so I don't want to mislead with that, but it shows you how it can be done, though, with the right combinations, I guess I should say. Because that's exactly what happened. That was the same team that went 4-7 the year before that. The same team that had no motivation, that didn't play well, that had no imagination, an offense that was so vanilla. Well, that changed. Well, what changed? Jeff Brom didn't bring a recruiting class in last year. He hadn't recruited yet. He had his first season. He took what he had and did a remarkable job.
Yeah.
So he's a great coach. I mean, he's been successful wherever he's been. So you can't knock him at all.
Louisville should be lucky to have him. And
We'll find out. We'll certainly find out. Hey, hit us up on the text line. You've got questions for Mitchell or any thoughts that you may have. Hit us up, 812-269-6367. Or you still have the old text line, 502-414-1450. But, yeah, it's going to be an interesting weekend. A lot of people's fates are going to be decided. Bowls, whether or not you're going to make it to a bowl game, whether or not your coach is staying or going, who's going to get fired this weekend after the games. There's going to be a lot of that going on, too.
Yeah.
So much drama going on after this weekend. And then there's all kind of state championships. Aren't the state championships this weekend?
I believe so.
In high school football. Indiana high school football state titles are on the line tonight up in Lucas Oil Stadium. So all kinds of stuff going on this weekend. A huge sports weekend in the state of Indiana. Like I said, tonight the basketball team will host UC Davis at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. And then tomorrow, the bucket game. Noon, Purdue comes to town, and Jeff Brom, Tom Allen going at it. Will this be Jeff Brom's last game? We'll certainly find out. But who's going to make it to a bowl? Who's not? And then Sunday, the Todd Yeagley's men's soccer program looking for title number 9 as they continue NCAA play at Bill Armstrong Stadium. We've got a lot more coming up on the show. Mitchell Page will be joining us in the next hour. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat's coming right back.
Young boys, they're fooling around in the corner. Drunk dressed in their best brown baggies in their platform soles. They don't give a damn about any trumpet playing band.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers with the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers,
It says
pizza,
every player in Egg Bowl receives a sportsmanlike conduct penalty after brawl.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever
I
and
just
fever
saw the
reducer
four
found
guys
in hundreds
that
of
have
over-the-counter and prescription medicines.
sent
But
off. I
taking
didn't
too
see
much
that.
or
That's
more than one medication
there
containing
it is.
acetaminophen per day
Hey,
can
let's use
damage your
sound.
liver.
It's
So
opening
always read
clip.
the label
Let's
and
use
don't
sound.
take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic
So
drinks
this
every
is the only
day.
clip that
To learn
a lot
more,
of people
visit
listen to, plus this is the hour show, right?
fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and
So
Human
it'll be a
Services
fresh
Food and Drug
open. I got
Administration.
2 minutes of Tom Allen.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof,
Good to go.
you want a hometown contractor
And
you
Archie.
can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of
Yeah, I
New
got a
Albany
little
has been
Archie.
doing quality
See what I
work
can
since
pull.
2006.
Gotta
Check
have
out
some
the work
Archie.
for yourself at Brooks Roofing.
I wish he would have met with the media
IN.com.
yesterday.
No job is too big or too small, commercial
Well, yeah,
or
it was radio
residential. Brooks Roofing
that
is
was Monday.
probably working in your neighborhood right now. Visit Brooks
You
Roofing
just pull from that if you have
IN.com
to.
or call 812-868-ROOF. That's
Wait a minute.
812-868-ROOF.
They played in
Brooks
between them,
Roofing,
didn't they?
the protection
They
you
played
need
Tuesday.
when nature
Yeah, I have a sound
strikes.
from Tuesday.
We all want a winning smile for those championship
There's
photos,
gotta be
and
something to
that's
talk about
exactly
UC
what
Davis.
you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has
Or the
been
injuries
serving
or
the dental
whatever.
needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and
Yeah, I
Jay
could play
Reynolds
some
take
injuries.
care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809
Or fatigue.
South Indiana
Let's do
Avenue in
fatigue. How about
Sellersburg.
that?
Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
All right, crew, let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand?
And then I
I'm
was
planting that
thinking you
tree,
could probably just
remember?
keep Mitchell
No matter how
from 20 to
large
the end of the show.
or small,
I don't
your
think he
digging
can stay.
project may be, no matter how urban or rural.
I haven't heard
But what I-
You must
but
always
what I will
call
do is I will
811
keep
before
them as
any
long as
digging
possible
project.
and extend
811
that-
is our
extend
national
that
one
segment
call
out so
number,
when we come
alerting
back,
your local
we're looking at
utility
maybe
companies to come
15
out and mark
minutes.
any lines they have near your dig site. You
No
must
one
call
responded to you, I
811 at
assume?
least 2 to
No, I
3
haven't
business
heard from
days
Lynn.
before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric,
You got Tom
communication
Coverdale?
cables,
Get old
and
Nick
water and
Baumgart.
sewer lines. So
You know,
before you do this,
I saw him last night.
make
Where's
sure
the
you do this.
Yeah.
For digging projects
Where was
big or
that?
small,
Yeah.
make the
Stop
call
and saw him
to
on the coming
811.
back from Kylie.
Brought to you by Common Ground Alliance.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch specials. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. Everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers, weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at IndianaSportsBeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat.
Oh, see that smoking now? Well, that's good. That's what I'm worried. I was like, man. Oh, yeah, I'm usually 3 times as loud. I'm in the studio. I'm telling you. I was getting ready to say Rick Sweet to me. That's so much down there. You have to run a hose over to it. So that earnings, what do you have? A cup of coffee?
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area or just meet friends for happy hour. Okay. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers, pizza, beer.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer for...
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin-yang, come along.
Yeah, that's right. Come along, Indiana Sports Beat coming to you here on this post-Thanksgiving Black Friday. Welcome in. Thanks a lot for taking us along, wherever you're going, whatever you may be doing. We thank you for taking us along. Justin Kalen, high atop the crew chief's box, as always. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, Justin.
Oh, yeah, it was pretty solid. Ate lots of food.
That's always the point. You can get your belly stuffed and sit back and watch some football. It's a great day. I hope you had a chance to do that. Some big games. We'll talk about them all. The Egg Bowl breaks out in a huge fight. We'll talk about that as well. But let's get to the headlines with Justin first.
All right, here are your headlines for this Friday, November 23rd, brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. As Jim said, lots of football yesterday. Hope you all enjoyed your Thanksgiving as the Chicago Bears defeat the Detroit Lions 23-16. You also had a Cowboys win over the Redskins, and the New Orleans Saints defeated the Falcons last night 31-17. Big weekend upcoming for Indiana as basketball hosts UC Davis tonight at 7. Football plays Purdue in the bucket game tomorrow at noon. And soccer gets set for third round of the NCAA tournament as they host number 20 Air Force Sunday at noon. Those are your headlines for this Friday, November 23rd. Brought to you by Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart, located on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Justin. Yeah, huge weekend for Indiana, and I am in Bloomington, coming to you from Bloomington. I'm sure it sounds a little different today, but that's because I am in Bloomington already for this huge weekend. Tonight, Indiana will host UC Davis at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. Tomorrow at noon at Memorial Stadium, Purdue comes calling for the bucket game and bowl eligibility for both teams for only the second time in the history of these two teams meeting. This goes back a long time. Only the second time, a bowl is on the line, and that happened last year for the first time ever, now for the second consecutive season. You got a lot of storylines. Jeff Brom, this is going to be the last game he coaches for Purdue. If you ask me, I say yes. And then the soccer program going for title number 9 as they play they round of 16 against Air Force. The academy comes in on Sunday. So a big weekend for the Hoosiers in Bloomington, all home games. So we'll be there to cover it all for you on Indiana Sports Beat. Make sure you stay tuned to us, and we'll bring it all to you. Also coming up on the show today, Mitchell Page will join us, and we'll talk about that Purdue game. We'll talk about what is it more important, to beat Purdue or become bowl eligible. I should have said more important, but I guess what is the more driving from an emotional standpoint.
Sure.
So plenty to talk about. Justin, how was your Thanksgiving?
Solid. Like I said, food, football, friends, family. Life was good.
Huge fight broke out in the Egg Bowl. If you're not familiar with the Egg Bowl is Mississippi State in the SEC, but it's been going on. That's a knockdown fist fight rivalry too, and obviously, definitely became a fist fight rivalry last night. As I noticed in one of the headlines that every player received an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty. I'd like to see him mark that off. Every player involved in the brawl got an unsportsmanlike conduct. How do you mark that off?
Wouldn't they?
Well, we got 80 yards this way and 70 yards this way, and well, it depends. I mean, what if you have 6 on one side and 5 on the other?
Sure.
But yeah, big brawl breaks out, and this is rivalry weekend. Indiana taking on Purdue, like I said, a huge game for both squads as bowl eligibility on the line. But you've got Michigan and Ohio State this weekend for Big Ten East supremacy. Michigan is trying to excise, well, Jim Harbaugh specifically trying to excise the demon that is the Buckeyes. He has yet to beat them since he came into Ann Arbor and began coaching at Michigan. So not only is that on the line, but he's also got his team in a position to go to the college football playoffs. They are sitting number 4 right now, but they've got to win this game, and that will allow them to play in the Big Ten championship game against probably Northwestern, I think. So that should not. Listen, they've already played once this season, and Michigan beat Northwestern in Evanston. So things looking good for those guys. And then on the soccer field, go ahead.
If Ohio State beats Michigan tomorrow, is the Big Ten held out of the college football playoff yet again?
Absolutely. Who's going to go in? Not Ohio State. I mean, I think that even if they win that game, to me they've underachieved, and that they're not going to jump over 4 people, 5 people in front of them. They're just not. They're not getting the respect. They've lost games. Not only have they lost games this year, but teams like Indiana has come into Columbus and played them very well. So they just are not passing the eye test to me. They just aren't a top 4 team to me. But then again, Notre Dame wasn't for a long time. But yet Notre Dame they've answered every challenge that's been put forth before them. Now, the question is, were those challenges big enough? They went on the road and they beat a Northwestern team. They went not kind of on the road, but not really, and pretty much dominated a ranked Syracuse team. So they've answered every question that's been put before them. We'll see how that works out because you've got Michigan and Michigan and Clemson at the top, in the top 2 spots, which means they will play the 3 and the 4 teams, which is Notre Dame and Michigan. Right now, it would be Alabama, Michigan, and Clemson, Notre Dame playing out if things ended the way they are today. So I don't expect to see any change with the Notre Dame because they have to go play USC. That'll be their final game. They don't have a championship game to play in. They don't play in a conference, which, it's kind of funny because remember how much weight was put on the conference championship games, and that's why that they were saying the Big 12 getting left out. It's not affecting Notre Dame at all.
Right. You have to wonder why that is, probably because they're a traditional powerhouse football program, but still.
Got two words for you: Notre Dame. Yeah. That's it. That's why the only player to win a Heisman Trophy from a losing team has come off of Notre Dame. Of course, that was in '56 with who?
I don't know.
Oh, really? Come on. I gave you so much crap about not knowing this.
1956.
Well, Paul Hornung.
Oh, okay.
Won the Heisman for Notre Dame in 1956, I believe, but the only player to win it on a losing team. I think they were 5-6 or whatever. But that's the only Heisman winner to come from a losing team. That's how strong Notre Dame was then and is now. That mystique still carries forward, which is why they're not affected by. Not a word has been said about them not playing in a championship game. So lots coming up, and I look forward to talking to Mitchell here about this Indiana-Purdue game. The importance. What's more important, beating Purdue or going to a bowl game? Because that's what's on the line. That's not the scenario that's going to play out this year, because if you don't beat them, you don't go to a bowl. Right. But it is a great question. What's more important, beating Purdue or going to a bowl game from a player standpoint? So look forward to hearing from that. Keep the text coming in to the text line, 812-269-6367 or 502-414-1450.
Speaking of Indiana-Purdue, Tom Allen was asked about it yesterday. His thoughts on playing Purdue today or tomorrow. Let's see what he had to say.
The players understand. They understand what's at stake. They understand what a huge game this is in and of itself, being the bucket game. But then you add to it the bowl ramifications for both programs. It just intensifies the game for sure. But a good focus so far, a good week of preparation. Best continue.
Coach, for you, this is year 3 here in Bloomington, year 2 as a head coach. How is your understanding, feelings of this Old Oak and Bucket rivalry? How has that changed over the last few years?
Well, I think the intensity grows the more familiar you are with it, being a part of it now. You hear about it, you watch it from the outside in, and that's one thing, and you understand it being born and raised in this state, how big it is, but now you're living it, and it's very personal, and one-on-one in these games, and just understand how much this means to the individuals that are here now as a part of our university, all of our alumni all across the country, and we carry that intensity with us to this game.
Coach, you start with Purdue as you game plan for the Boilermakers as far as what they do well, and offensively they have a lot of weapons they can use.
Oh, they do. Very impressive, and a lot of good receivers, a really excellent quarterback, and running backs who run hard, 2 talented tight ends as well. So big offensive line, and they give him time to throw, and they run the ball well. So, yeah, they've done a good job this season in creating a lot of points and making themselves very difficult because of their versatility to stop.
Coach, how about the other side of the football?
There's Tom Allen talking about the importance of the bucket game coming up tomorrow at noon at Memorial Stadium. So I'm certainly looking forward to that. A greatly anticipated game. It's a bucket game, so it's a rivalry, but then you've got bowl eligibility on the line, which is huge for Tom Allen right now in his program. If he can get Indiana to a bowl game after the season that they've had, which to me has been a little disappointing, some people think it hasn't been. I'm not in that camp. Some people think that they're lucky to have won these amount of games. Well, maybe so after Penix got hurt, but I think they had, let's just say, a difference of opinion prior to that on how the season could have gone. I still think this team could have won 7 or 8 games. I really do believe that with the talent that they had. Now, does that mean even if Penix didn't get hurt, that things couldn't have gone awry if the offensive line got hurt, which they did during some parts, of course, because it all plays into it. But but if he's able to get this team to a bowl game, I think he's done a remarkable job, because yes, you got to fall back on the fact that Indiana's only been to so many bowl games in the history of the program. So that it would be a remarkable achievement with this team, especially with all the adversity they faced, having lost not 1 but 2 quarterbacks this year, having lost not 1 but 2 of their top 2 running backs this year. People forget that. They've lost 2 quarterbacks. They've lost their top 2 running backs. They've lost a lot.
Sounds like Indiana basketball.
Sure, yeah. But they're on the precipice of yet becoming bowl eligible. I think it would be pretty remarkable, and you'd have to take your hat off to Tom Allen if he's able to do that, in my opinion.
No doubt.
Well, that's going to take care of it for this segment. When we come back, we've got Mitchell Page, so stay tuned here on NEO Sports Beat, coming back right after this.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Bring the team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area. Or just meet friends for happy. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers for the coldest beer in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Not terrible, but
pizza,
not like
beer.
Well, of course it's not like normal, but
I feel like we're in 1975.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines. But taking too much or more than one medication containing acetaminophen per day can damage
I'm not going to do a replay.
So always read the label and don't take acetaminophen if you drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day.
Not going to do a replay.
More, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info.
I can, yeah.
A message from the U.S. Department of Health and
Human
Human Services.
We need a replay at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
What was you, where they going to run at 10 o'clock?
Storm damage to your roof. You want a hometown
I can play
contractor
if you want. It's up to
you
you.
can count on.
I just didn't want to. I didn't want to hear shit from Dugan that it's not good quality.
Since 2006. Check out the
Does it sound that bad?
I don't think so, but you know him. He texted
job
it
is too
has a
big or
little
too
bit of
small,
static.
commercial or
But
residential.
that's nothing to do with that.
Probably
That's
working
just
in your
the show.
neighborhood right now. Visit
telling
brooksroofing.com or
if it
call
was Kentucky Roll, nothing would be said.
812-868-ROOF. That's
But if it doesn't sound good enough for a replay, then don't do it.
Brooks Roofing, the protection
it's
you
right-
need when
it's
winter
right on the
strikes.
We all want a winning
Well, he's
smile
going to say
for
something
those
anyway, then it's
photos.
well, you
That's
know,
exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family
Well, I'd
Dentistry
rather
in
answer
Sellersburg.
that
Reynolds
than
Family Dentistry has
answer,
been serving the dental
well,
needs
how
of
come
Hoosier
Jim was on
families
the
for
road?
over
How
30
come
years.
da, da,
Let
da, da,
Doctors
da.
Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 80.
Yeah, hopefully this is the last time that ever happens.
Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry. 812-246-3368.
Yeah, how are we going to fix that problem, though?
We're working on it.
All right, crew.
We
let's
discussed
get it
all
done.
kinds of issues or all kinds of ways to fix it last
Honey,
night.
you want to give me a hand? I'm planning
You
that
did what?
tree, remember?
We were
No
talking
matter
about
how
all kinds of
large
things we're doing in the future.
or small, your
Last
digging
night,
project
taking
may
off.
be, no matter how urban or rural. You must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities.
Man, this is the first day I've not wanted to do a
petroleum
show.
pipelines,
Shouldn't have
electric,
done one.
communication cables, and water and sewer lines.
I'd have been cool with it.
So before you
Yeah,
do
but
this,
we're the only people not doing one.
make sure you do this.
And it's a big
Digging
weekend
projects
for
big or
Indiana.
small, make the call to 811.
But if it sounds
Brought to
like
you by
crap,
Haunted
then
Ground
it doesn't
Alliance.
really matter.
All right, 1 minute. I'm going to call Mitchell.
If you want to get your day off to a good start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you could fill your own tank with a hot breakfast or try one of Billy Joe's daily lunch special. Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart opens at 5 a.m. and everything is made fresh daily. And if you bring your own mug, coffee is only 50 cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air. The best place to start your day is at Billy Joe's Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and playmakers. Weekly guests like Don Fisher, Terry Hutchins, and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat. Today's guest is brought to you by Brooks Roofing, the protection you need when Mother Nature strikes. BrooksRoofingIM.com.
Hey, welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. As John Mellencamp brings us in. Mitchell Page joins us now. Mitchell, how are you, sir?
What's up, Jim? How are you?
Oh, just wonderful, brother. How's your post-Thanksgiving trip to San Coma going?
It is exactly that. I'm pretty tired today. Yesterday was a long day for us. Driving around, got family all around here, so I had to go see a bunch of people. But it was a good day for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's supposed to be a relaxing day for everybody, but we end up running around, cooking all day, going to visit, do this, and it's like, whew, I could have just used the day off, man.
And that's, thankfully, that day off is what I'm going to have most of today. Get to play some golf. Pumped.
Sounds great. One of the questions that we were talking about earlier, Mitchell, and I said, well, there's no better person to ask than Mitch. Indiana and Purdue both, ball eligibility is on the line in this game Saturday. So, but you've got the rivalry that comes first. As a player, what is a bigger thing, beating Purdue or becoming bowl eligible?
Ooh, that is a good question. I would think that for the program and the strength of the program, I think the answer is you have to say bowl eligibility. But as someone that was at the IU Purdue football Old Oaken Bucket luncheon on Tuesday, I went last week up to Chicago for that one. I hate those guys. So I'm going to say beating Purdue is the most important thing in life. Not just in IU football, just beating Purdue in everything is the most important thing.
Yeah, that's what I said. I kind of thought that was going to be the answer when me and Justin were talking about it earlier. I said, from a program standpoint, you're building the program by going to bowl games. I said, but from a player, every day for 364 days, you hear, what have you done today to beat Purdue? What have you done today to beat Purdue? And that's beat into your head. And then they have a trophy case for the Old Oaken Bucket that sits inside the locker room, with the bucket sits on and spins in this trophy case, and it's been empty for a year. And that has not been lost upon these guys. They see that every day when they go in the locker room. They're asked every day, what have you done today to beat Purdue? So, yeah, it's such a huge thing, these rivalry games. And this game goes back so long. I mean, this is a heated, intense rivalry.
Yeah, I was at that luncheon, and there was 85-year-old Purdue guys talking crap to 85-year-old IU guys. Like, this thing is deeply rooted. Time doesn't matter, age doesn't matter. This is important. This is a big-time week. It's my favorite week of the year. I can't wait to be there on Saturday. I know the Hoosiers are going to pull it out.
Yeah, it's going to be. And what has been lost is it's going to be a good game, I think, because both teams coming in playing some of the best football. Indiana coming off of a loss, but a loss at Michigan in which they led the Wolverines at halftime and played well. They put the most yards on Michigan that they've allowed all season. Stevie Scott rushed for the second most yards that Michigan had given up all year. This is the number one defense in the country. So Indiana is clicking on all cylinders right now offensively. I think that part of that is because they have a healthy offensive line at the moment.
It's going to be a big-time close game. I think that Purdue has some really good wins, and people just see, obviously the Ohio State one. I'm going down with a big group of people, and the feeling with people that have really paid attention to the way that Purdue plays feel a lot better about IU's chances. But then they have that one kind of wow win against Ohio State. But, we saw what Maryland did to Ohio State.
Exactly.
Ohio State's defense is like Swiss cheese. There's so many holes in that thing. I don't know what they're doing in Columbus. They got to get that figured out if they want to win this weekend. I don't think that win is as good as it. I don't know. It wasn't as good at the time. It was better at the time than it looks now.
Yeah, it played well on TV. Tyler Trent there. It was a big story. That was part of the storyline. So, but now part of the storyline is Jeff Brom, their coach. And in my opinion, this is the last game he will coach for Purdue. When this game's over, win or lose, he's not going to be there. I don't think that he's going to be there if they were to win. I don't think he'd be there for the bowl game because he's recruiting. He's going to head to Louisville, in my opinion. I think he's gone, and Purdue's going to be win or lose. I think they're going to be looking for another head coach, and they're not going to like that after the success that they have enjoyed the last 2 years.
Yeah, he certainly had a chance to at least diffuse those rumors. You didn't have to put them to bed because as time's gone on, I agree with you. I didn't at the beginning. But then after his press conference, 2 days after the Louisville job opened up, he certainly didn't make me believe he wanted to stay at Purdue. So this could be an interesting game where the players kind of rally behind them, or there's a little bit of distraction amongst the players. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be a fun weekend.
Me and Justin talked about that earlier, and there's no way it's not a distraction. As a player, if you were on that team and the coach, your success that you had last season and this season pretty much solely is on the fact that Jeff Brohm is the head coach. When you got a pretty good indication that he's might be leaving, how does that affect this game amongst players, as a player?
Well, a lot of their players are really young, and Rondale Moore, their best player, is the guy that sticks out in my head the most. He's a freshman. He got recruited by Brohm. Brohm goes to Louisville. I bet Brohm would be okay with taking him with him. So you got kids that are thinking, okay, this might be my last game at Purdue as well, whether it's to go follow the coach or go somewhere else. There's a lot of, when a coach gets fired or he leaves, whatever it is, there's a lot of turnover within the program. All the way top to the football operations people are usually gone. Assistant coaches leave. Strength coaches change. There's all kinds of change that happens that Purdue doesn't really need right now. They're building something that I think could have been a pretty strong, I hesitate to say powerhouse because, like I said, I hate those guys, but they were building something pretty good in West Lafayette, and this could shake it up.
Yeah, and then you go to the recruiting side of it. Brohm had done a good job recruiting once he got there, and Tom Allen has done a good job recruiting for Indiana, so it's been kind of a battle between those two. How is that possibly going to help Tom Allen in Indiana on the recruiting side if Brohm does leave, in fact?
Well, I know that during the season, anytime a recruit visits, usually if they're considering IU, they're also considering Purdue. They directly recruit against each other for a majority of the players. All it takes is, well, did you see his press conference? He's out of there. You can go to Purdue if you like that city. I don't know why you would. Or you can come here where we have a beautiful campus, beautiful people. We're on the right path. And you get to play in the better side of the Big Ten against the better competition. It makes the recruiting so much easier.
Yeah, and Indiana had lost a couple battles to Purdue, but those are commitments, not signed. So there's a possibility you could see some flips among players. But the most interesting player of all to me is Rondale Moore, because he's a freshman from Trinity High School in Louisville, where Jeff Brohm went to high school. What's the likelihood that he transfers out if Brohm is to leave, or does he stay and go pro? Does he have to sit a year out? Is it worth him sitting a year out because he's so ready? Obviously, he's play ready. I mean, he's shown that, how good he is, how big and strong he is. The guy squats 600 pounds. It's nuts. He's a human offensive machine already, so I don't see a guy like that sitting a year out, but does he stay and play for the next regime at Purdue if Brohm is to leave?
Yeah, to answer that question, you have to know, what is Rondale Moore thinking? Does he want to stay at 3 years and get out of there? But you also have to think, if you stay those 3 years at Purdue and they get someone like the coaches they've had before Brohm, or not even like them, just someone that even isn't as good as Brohm, how are your stats affected? You've been put kind of in a national spotlight with how you played this year. How does that affect you with someone that doesn't think the same way that Brohm does and gets you so many touches? How does that affect your draft stock? Are you better off to go sit the year and play 4 years instead, but explode? I don't know. It's a hard choice. I'm happy that I'm here sitting. I don't worry about it. I know that.
Talking with Mitchell Page, former IU great on the football field. Well, and another question is with him. And I forgot what I was going to ask, to be honest with you. I had it right there. But he's had such a good breakout season that having to sit that year, and like you said, play for someone unknown, don't know what the offense is going to be, but he's going, because he has to stay for 3 years, so if he's going to go early anyway, transferring is not as bad as it may seem, because he knows what he'll get with Jeff Brom. He knows that he'll be a featured part of any offense that is run with him. But that's just it's a hard thing for a guy that's that play ready to sit for a year. That's got to be a very difficult thing for him if this comes to fruition.
Yeah, there's also a lot to be said for coming home. I didn't even realize he went to Trinity. I think that puts the percentage a lot higher.
Yeah, he went to Trinity High School, and the ironic thing is he's actually from New Albany, Indiana. He was on the 2016 4A state championship basketball team with Romeo Langford.
Really?
Yes, absolutely. It's a fact. So here's a little tidbit. The freshman players of the year in football and basketball are probably both going to come from New Albany, Indiana this season.
That's crazy.
How nuts is that?
What are they cooking up down there? That's awesome. Who's just down there more often? What the heck?
He was on that basketball team. We talked about your basketball team and all the great players who were on that. The AAU team that you guys both won at Garrett High School, won the state championship, and Carmel won the state championship, and the core of those guys were both on your AAU team. I'd like to have Romeo Langford and Londale Moore on the same team.
I bet he was pretty good on a basketball court.
Yeah, he's just a phenomenal athlete. But hopefully we don't see. Hopefully he's contained tomorrow, because he's a special player. I mean, like Romeo, he's a special player on the football field. He's very special. To do the things he's done as a freshman, you got to take your hat off to him.
Yeah, he's been incredible to watch. It's regardless of where he plays, talent like that is special. He's fast. He's elusive. He's just really, really good, and the Hoosiers are going to have their hands full with him tomorrow. The way they run him in motion on the jet sweep, and I can't remember what the other running back's name is, number one.
And coming into this game, you've seen both teams play and how both teams are playing coming into the game. How do you really see this game playing out?
Honestly, I think that IU wins a close one. 31-27 is the score that's been in my head. I don't know why, but since Monday, that's the score I've had in my head. I think it's either 31-27 or the Hoosiers get blown out because we don't throw the ball down the field. If we continue to throw the ball down the field and get the ball in our playmakers' hands, I think we win a close one. If we don't, if we just try to run the ball into the line of scrimmage, I don't think we've got much of a chance.
I think that score is probably pretty telling. It's right in line with where Indiana's played all season long. And if they can, the one thing that concerns me for Indiana is the defensive secondary, which has kind of been an Achilles heel, and that's where Purdue thrives, is throwing the ball. That's got to be a concern for Indiana.
Yeah, and that quarterback's good. They're going to spread us out with some speed and bigger receivers. It's going to be tough for them. I think that they'll be prepared. I know Tom Allen is defense first, so he'll make sure those guys are prepared. They'll have a good plan. It's just score enough points, because you said the exact right word. They have so many playmakers at Purdue, you just contain them. You can't stop that. Just contain enough for the offense to score more points. It'll be fun. It might be a little shootout.
Well, Indiana's been playing this bend but don't break defense here of late, and it's kind of worked. I mean, they employed that against Maryland, and a team that had been not in the red zone a lot, but 18 times before they came to Indiana, and 14 of those were touchdowns, and only 4 times that they had kicked a field goal all season. Well, Indiana forced them into 4 field goals. They kind of did the same thing at Michigan. They relegated Michigan to a field goal contest in the early going, but the Michigan came out on head. But it's kind of been working. I don't know that they can do that against this team, because neither of those teams were this prolific throwing the ball. And this is probably the area where Indiana has been hurt the most, is having the ball thrown on them. Ohio State threw for a lot of yards against them, which is probably what lost the game for Indiana. So it's going to be a tough test for the IU defense and Tom Allen.
Definitely. I think that if we can, I'm trying to think of how to. We need to find a way to play. The bend don't break is fine. We need to find a way to get more stops when they don't get points on the board, because they're going to be able to score in bunches. I think on some bigger plays, we need to make sure that we can get a number of possessions where they have to punt it to us, because we didn't do that against Michigan at all. It's a way to stay in the game, but we got to find possessions where they come up empty. That's going to be a key to the game.
Yeah, I think this is going to be a big play game, because Indiana's coming off of the Michigan game where they had their most big plays of the season. I think 27 plays of 20 yards or more, which had not been anything they'd been able to do coming in. They hadn't had very many long runs. They definitely hadn't had very many long pass plays, but they have been coming alive. But Purdue is going to, they've been living on big plays all year long. So this is going to be a big play game.
Yeah, got to find a way to stop them, contain them.
Sounds great. Well, Mitchell, I appreciate you joining us, man, and I look forward to it. I hope you had a great Thanksgiving, and I'm sure we'll be seeing you. Are you coming down for the basketball game tonight?
Yeah, I'll be down there. I think me and 3 of my buddies will be down sitting behind the basket. So it's another Hoosier weekend for me.
Big weekend in soccer on Sunday. So a huge Hoosier weekend. Mitchell Page, well, thank you, sir. Look forward to seeing you tonight. Have a safe trip.
Yeah, I'll see you there.
Good. That's Mitchell Page joining us as always. We'll be back with to close out the show here. Stay tuned. Indiana Sports Beat coming right back after this.
This is Jim Coyle. When I'm not on the road covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 on the northeast side of I-65 at Veterans Parkway in Clarksville. Team in for that post-win meal in the family dining area, or just meet friends for happy hour. Bubba's has bold burgers, hand-tossed pizzas, mouth-watering wings, and a list of select local craft brewers in town. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Burgers.
That low energy, but just didn't have a lot, Sonic. We just woke him up.
Many medicines used to treat colds and flu contain acetaminophen, a pain reliever and fever reducer found in hundreds of over-the-counter and prescription medicines.
You know what? From now on, I don't know how I would do a show today or not.
Containing acetaminophen per day.
Maybe because it's early morning, people are sleeping in. Hopefully nobody's
listening. Drink 3 or more alcoholic drinks every day. To learn more, visit fda.gov/OTC pain info. A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services Food and Drug Administration.
He's the only one that texted.
If you're a homeowner and have storm damage to your roof, you want a hometown contractor you can count on and trust. Brooks Roofing of New Albany has been doing quality work since 2006. Check out the.
All right, so you want to do like predictions for this last segment? That'll probably get us through.
No job is too big or
yes,
small.
but you have to lay them out for me, because I just have no access to internet right now. So I'm on the phone, so I can't use my phone access.
I was just talking like Indiana basketball, football, soccer.
868
yeah, the Colts in the big games this weekend. Michigan, Ohio State.
Roofing, the protection.
Anything else that's big? You got Auburn, Alabama.
Yeah. We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg.
Oklahoma, West Virginia.
Has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over
Washington,
30
Washington
years.
State.
Doctors Roger and
That's
Joe
a big one, because Washington State's trying to get in
off of I-65,
and I love Mike Leach.
809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg.
The Apple Cup.
812-246.
What is the West Virginia game called?
812-246.
Oh, actually, West Virginia, Oklahoma. That's not a rivalry game. Wait a minute. Why is Oklahoma State not playing?
All right, crew. Let's get her dug.
Honey, you want to give me a hand? I'm planting that tree, remember?
No matter how large
Louisville, Clemson,
or
South
small,
Carolina.
your digging project may
I don't
be,
care about Clemson,
no matter
South
how
Carolina.
urban or rural. You must always call 811 before any digging project. 811 is our national one-call number, alerting your local utility companies to come out and mark any lines they have near your dig site. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 business days before any digging project, so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. This includes natural gas and petroleum pipelines, electric, communication cables,
so you're already in Bloomington.
And water and sewer lines.
Oh, okay. I thought you were
So before you do this, or this,
well, I had planned
make
on
sure
it.
you do this.
But then Kyle
For
ended
digging
up
projects big or
wanting to go
small,
to that movie.
make the call to 811.
So,
Brought to you by
staying here with old girl boss.
with us, well, yeah, I mean,
Day
I've
off
been
to a
kind
good
of
start, then stop at Billy Joe's Gas
weird,
and Food
but-
Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs. While you're filling your gas tank, you can fill your own tank with
So,
a
yeah, that
breakfast
kinda
or
changed my
try one of
plan.
Billy Joe's daily lunch special.
Which
Billy Joe's Gas and Food
sucked
Mart
because
opens
I was
at
going to be
5
down in the
a.m.
basement of their
Everything is
house,
made fresh
away
daily.
from,
And
so
if you
far
bring
away
your
from
own
everybody.
milk,
I
coffee
put
is
it in
only
as loud
50
as normal.
cents. And Billy Joe's also has free air.
And
The
I
best
would've
place
felt
to
better, and I
start your
could have had
day
access
at Billy
to
Joe's
internet.
Gas and Food Mart on Highway 150 in Floyd's Knobs.
If you want the most comprehensive coverage of the Indiana Hoosiers, you need Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle.
30 seconds.
Join us each Monday through Friday for interviews with the players and the
strong.
playmakers. Weekly guests like Don
Finish
Fitch and Terry
strong.
Hutchins and Chronic Hoosier. We've got live reports from each game. No one gives you better coverage of Indiana athletics. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle is available on iTunes and Google Play. You can follow us on Facebook or at indianasportsbeat.com. Indiana Sports Beat with Jim Coyle. We don't miss a beat.
Just take those old records off the shelf. I sit and listen to them by myself. Today's music ain't got the same soul.
And welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat here on this post-Thanksgiving tryptophan comatose Friday. I hope that you're doing well, and if you're out standing in a line somewhere, I'm sure the lines have emptied as the stores are probably open, and people are going mad buying great, crazy deals, probably TVs for 50 cents some way. Welcome in Indiana Sports Beat, Justin Kamen alongside with Jim Coyle. Hope you guys have had a great Thanksgiving holiday, and it's off to a good start. Big weekend coming in Indiana sports, of course. We've talked about Indiana basketball tonight at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall as they host UC Davis with a greatly depleted team. We're yet to know who's going to be available for Archie Miller, actually. With after their last game, 7 scholarship players were injured. But we'll see which ones of those 7 will be available tonight. Of course, Romeo Langford, I fully expect him to be available. I haven't heard anything other than that. He took a headbutt to the nose, which worst case is you may see him wearing the mask on the court. We'll find out how that works out. And see if Archie gets any of the guys back, like Al Durham, who took a hard fall in that ball game where he had his legs cut out from under the basket, and he left and did not come back. And that was on the heels of Deron Davis kind of aggravating some things from the Arkansas game, which he played phenomenally well. As a matter of fact, he stood up when Justin Smith was, Justin Smith didn't bring it to that game. Hopefully he's got things in line, but we'll see what Archie's going to have because he's been rather depleted. Only 7 players hitting the court against Arkansas. So that's going to be a tough road to sled for the basketball Hoosiers. And then football tomorrow, the big game, the bucket game on the line, bowl eligibility on the line. Jeff Braun of Purdue coming into Indiana, to Bloomington, to what should be a great game. We just talked to Mitchell Page about that. And, we talked about that very question, Justin, that we talked about, what's more important, and kind of as I thought, as a program, going to a bowl game, but boy, winning this game is just something you think about today. And he talked about being at the luncheon with 85-year-old guys talking smack to each other. And I can see it because it doesn't leave you. Competition doesn't leave you. Competitive nature doesn't leave you. But that's what makes it fun. And that's another thing that doesn't leave is bragging rights. If you win that game, you get to talk about that game for the rest of your life, even up until you're 85, apparently.
Yeah, and I kind of figured it might be different answers, especially for players and coaches. You ask a coach, he's going to say, hands down, no question, it's going to be a bowl game more important. But like we heard from Mitchell, it seems like a win over Purdue is more important than the bowl, hands down, and it's not even close for what it seems like.
Well, from a personal standpoint, yeah, that's a game that you just have to win because they have a luncheon about this game. 85-year-old men are still talking about a game they played in nearly a century ago. So yeah, that's something they're not talking about whether or not they played in a bowl game, 60 years ago. They're talking about who won that game 60 years ago.
Sure.
So that's why the greater importance, and that really puts it in perspective for me now that I think about it in that light. You're going to talk about winning and losing. The guys that play in this game, they're going to talk about this game 50 years from now. And they're not going to talk about who was in a bowl that year or not, but they will be talking about who won this game. So there you go. Kind of answered that question for you.
We beat Purdue to go to the Pinstripe Bowl and lose to USC Upstate. Yeah.
There you go. Exactly. No, exactly. So, but a lot going on in Bloomington this weekend. That's where I'm coming to you from. I know it sounds a little different, but coming to you live from Bloomington. It is a huge weekend as the basketball program gets underway tonight against UC Davis at Simon Skjodt Assembly Hall. And tomorrow at noon, the bucket game. Indiana hosting Purdue and Jeff Brom. Lots of storylines going on there. Will this be Jeff Brom's last game at Purdue? We'll find out. A lot of people, myself included, believe that is the case. I expect that you'll see Brom named the Louisville coach shortly, within days of this game, for both programs' sake, actually, because if that's going to happen, they both need to move quickly to go in the direction they need to go in, because that's going to change also recruiting for both programs.
Sure. And Tim actually texted into the show with something pretty similar to that. He says, Milton Wright, a 4-star wide receiver from Louisville Christian Academy, does he follow Brom? He's committed to Purdue right now. Does he flip and go to Louisville?
1,000% yes. 1,000% that commitment flips, because he didn't commit to Purdue. That kid committed to Jeff Brom. I assure you, Rondale Moore committed to Jeff Brom, not Purdue. That's the bigger question, is what happens if Brom does leave and goes to Louisville? What does Rondale Moore do? Mm-hmm. This is the kid that's from Louisville Trinity High School, where Jeff Brom went to high school, and his hometown is New Albany, Indiana, right across the river from Louisville. So that would allow him to go home and continue playing for the guy that he actually committed to. So it's going to be, there's so many storylines in this thing. But not forgotten is the game itself, because bowl eligibility is on the line. Not just the win, but bowl eligibility, which is huge for Tom Allen and his program. Like I said earlier, if he can get this team to a bowl game, man, he will have done a good job, because Indiana, first of all, has not been to a ton of bowl games as a program. And they've been to 3 out of the last 4 years. So to make this 4 out of 5, that would continue a streak that has been surpassed only by the Bill Mallory era, where they went to 6 and 8, 6 bowl games in 8 seasons. That's the greatest stretch in Indiana history. So Tom Allen's on the precipice of they took a hit last year, not making it to a bowl game, because they lost this game. So that just increases the importance of this game 1,000-fold for Tom Allen. This would be such a huge injection of energy for this program, not only to beat Purdue, but to go to a bowl game. And then if you add on to that, if Brom does in fact leave, that is going to change recruiting at Purdue and Indiana for 2 reasons. One, as I've already mentioned, some of these guys that are committed to Purdue, they're actually committed to Jeff Brom. So if that change happens, they are going to change their commitment. I will guarantee you that. Not only that, then there are guys that are players that are from the state of Indiana that have committed to Purdue, but they probably committed to Jeff Brom. They either decommit to Purdue, and some of them may end up in Indiana, but some of them may end up in Louisville. But there's no doubt in my mind, if this change happens, and I think that it will, if Jeff Brom leaves Purdue to go to Louisville, it is going to alter recruiting for all 3 of these schools. Yeah. So you get an impact on 3 different programs right here.
Yeah, and I mean, unfortunately for Purdue, it's going to be a positive impact for Indiana and Louisville. Likely Purdue would take a pretty big hit in terms of recruiting if Brom were to leave.
It's going to be nothing but negative hits for Purdue. They're going to lose the best coach they've had in a while. Then they're going to lose recruiting. So it's going to be a heck of a hit for them if this comes to fruition. And there are no guarantees. This is just my opinion. I mean, I'm not the only one that thinks that, but it is only my opinion that he is leaving. There's nothing stated. He certainly has not stated anything that says he's leaving.
Hasn't stated anything saying he's staying.
Boom, you just took the words right out of my mouth. Exactly. And not only, and it's not what you say, but sometimes what you don't say.
Yeah.
And he hasn't not said anything about that he's not leaving either to lead you to believe that. But he heard Mitchell. I mean, when this first started, and I was talking to Mitchell about it, he's got a friend that is very good friends with Coach Braum as well. He's like, I don't see him leaving. I'm like, I guarantee he's gone. I just was very strong about it from the beginning. Now, doesn't make it so because it hasn't happened. But even Mitchell has come around, and after he saw Braum's press conference, which he could have easily said, I'm not leaving. I'm not going anywhere. Now, that's also good businessmanship, just like last year when he went to Tennessee and met with those guys and got a raise out of it.
Yeah.
So if he stays, this is another thing that a bargaining chip that he has in his corner. But Louisville wants him desperately. The fans down in Louisville want him desperately. They want him to be their coach. He is a hometown hero. He went to school at Louisville Trinity High School. He played at Louisville, University of Louisville. His brother, Brian Braum, was a great quarterback at Louisville. Greg Braum was a great receiver at Louisville. They all played there. So this is something that they have thought about a long, long time. Whether it's the right time, we'll find out. But that's where we are with that.
Does it make me a jerk that a little part of me wants Louisville to not get Jeff Braum just to see what happens with the fan base?
It would be interesting, but I'd rather they get him out of West Lafayette, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It certainly was at Indiana to see him go. But ironically, guess who Indiana opens the series with in a couple of years?
Louisville.
Yeah. Of course, just in time for Braum to have been there for a couple of years and gotten a couple of recruiting classes under his belt. So they're going to continue to run into Jeff Braum either way. He's not disappearing from the Indiana schedule. They're just adding him at a different school if that turns out to be the case. But there's lots of big games this weekend going on, not just Indiana-Purdue either. This is rivalry weekend. I talked earlier about Ohio State and Michigan. Jim Harbaugh has not beaten Ohio State since he has been in Michigan. And that is something not lost upon the faithful there in Ann Arbor. But that is a side note to this year because Michigan is in the top 4 of the college football playoffs. They are in a position to qualify for that, but that only happens if they beat Ohio State this year. Again, something Harbaugh has yet to do. Then they have to go on to the Big Ten championship game, of course, to win that. But that would most likely be against the Northwestern team that they've already played and beat on the road. So they missed a huge, huge game, and there's a lot of other games online this weekend, Justin.
Yeah, you've got Washington State. I know you're partial to that one just because Washington State is so close to getting into the playoffs. That'll be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, I love Mike Leach, man. I love just listening to him talk. He's such a character. But, my God, they hung 55 on Arizona in the first half last week. They are for real, and they are a team to be reckoned with. Whether or not I don't see any movement in the top 4, so I don't see them making it into the college football playoffs, but they're going to make it to a very, very nice, healthy bowl, and they're going to be a fun team to watch.
No doubt. And then you've got, of course, Kentucky, Louisville. Anyway, Louisville hangs with Kentucky.
Louisville only hopes to not allow 50 points to be scored for the 7th time this season as Kentucky's running game. They may have a field day against that Swiss cheese defense in Louisville.
Yeah.
I mean, Louisville's defense is like trying to catch water in a net. They just can't do it. They have just been such a bad team, period. And a lot of part of that to me is because of Bobby Petrino. He just looked like he quit on them a long time ago, and it was just a program in disarray. And then this dude gets $14 million to walk away from that mess that he created. So he really ought to be sending a big, huge early Christmas present to Tom Jurich for that $14 million buyout that he got for the crap that he's leaving Jeff Braum, whoever else steps into this role next.
Yep. And before we get out of here, Alabama-Auburn as well play tomorrow. Don't anticipate that being much of a game.
No, probably not, but you never know. I mean, maybe they'll leave a field goal short again, and Auburn will do the miraculous. We'll certainly find out.
Know.
I hope you guys have had a great Thanksgiving. For Justin Taylor, I'm Jim Coyle, and I'll see you on the radio.